Brad, matter of fact, why don't you talk over this and give us your thoughts since this is your future cast?
Yeah, so you see that line kind of right over I-77 at 6 o'clock, and then it progressing to the east between 8 or 9 o'clock. And it actually looks like that's a prefrontal trough, and the front actually forms another line as it moves through, probably not as strong. The real concern is that that squall line would be all straight line winds, but there's another threat that we really won't know till tomorrow is if we get individual cells to develop way ahead of that squall line. Those would be the ones that would have the biggest potential to rotate and be tornadic cells. And the thing about those cells, they would be flying because they're going to be moving on that low level jet. They could be moving 50, 55 miles per hour. So the warning lead times could be really, really small with some of those. So everybody could focus on their radar app, looking at that big line, and all of a sudden something forms down in the Midlands and comes racing up into the Piedmont of the Carolinas. And, it'll catch people off guard. And that's why, as Tim mentioned, we look at these short range guidance. We have such great convective allowing models now that I think we think, all right, at 7:03, the line's going to be here tomorrow. That's not really the way it works. You got to give yourself a 1 or 2 or 3 hour window there. And unfortunately, that lines up in that prime time trick-or-treating time frame. So, let's hope it slows down or speeds up. But that's playing chicken with a squall line with kids outside. It's just something, as a dad and as a meteorologist, I wouldn't be prepared. I would not be comfortable. When I have to make decisions for other people, it's one thing to put myself at risk, like I said earlier today. When I'm responsible for these little human beings, I'm going to be much more cautious than I would with something I was doing,
Tim, let me bring you in and get your thoughts
Yeah.
exactly on that because Brad mentioned it. We got that squall line coming, but then you got those cells that are possible out in front of it. So what advice are you giving locally in Greensboro?
I mean, basically, just like what Brad was saying, we've been preaching just to make sure you have a plan wherever you're going, whatever you might be doing. If you can, stay home. But if you are going out, make sure to have that plan because these things will be moving so quickly outside. So just the basic things we talk about with severe weather. The thing that's striking to me, too, obviously, we're hyper focused on our cities that we live in and our local markets. This is a widespread area. This is not a Carolinas situation. This is an East Coast situation. You can follow that level 3 severe weather risk from South Carolina, I guess from my area in North Carolina, all the way up to southern Pennsylvania. So this is all the way up into the capital region. DC's impacted, Richmond's impacted, Charlottesville. You go all the way up near Harrisburg, PA. That's a lot of folks, man. It's going to be a big, wide-ranging cold front. And we haven't really talked about this. This is more cosmetic and not as dangerous, really. But this is a real deal front. I mean, behind it, you're going to get a 40-degree temperature drop. We could be 78, 80 degrees tomorrow, and I'm forecasting about 38, 39 Friday morning. That's a lot, guys. And that's going to be a big shock to the system once we get past that. And then we'll be into, as we said, winter mode.